The only thing I needed to know that the Big Beautiful Bill was terrible is the title. I've said this before, people, if they ever come out with the Cute Puppies and Rainbows Act, it's time to head for the hills. And of course, this is exactly the kind of bill everyone was complaining about during the election, and we need to vote for Trump so there won't be any more bills like this. And Trump's gonna stand up to the deep state and yada yada yada. And now that this is happening, all the conservatives are like, yes, we need to pass the Big Beautiful Bill. Well, almost of them. You have Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, because they're always the notable exceptions. But so many of them that were just so gung-ho behind Trump are like, yeah, Big Beautiful Bill, yeah, because yay, Trump. Except for Elon Musk. He actually seems to be standing by his principles. I mean, what's Trump going to do, have him primaried or something? Yes, Elon Musk says he's disappointed to see the House pass a major tax bill that will require the federal government to borrow trillions of additional dollars in the coming years. But what did you really expect, people? Yeah, Musk told CBS News that this undermines the work that the Doge team has been doing. And he's right, Doge wasn't exactly able to fully deliver on the grand promises Musk made during last year's campaign and during the transition process. But as I've covered, a lot of the stuff that they did ended up being very enlightening, didn't it? But now Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act moves the federal budget in the complete opposite direction, adding $2.3 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. And of course, as always, that's a rosy projection that includes several gimmicks meant to reduce the apparent impact of the bill. It'll actually add over $3 trillion to the deficit and potentially much as $5 trillion once the gimmicks are stripped away. By comparison, Doge is only trimming $170 billion this year, and Congress is only going to implement a tiny fraction of that. So what's that then, like 1 step forward, 50 steps back or something like that? So yeah, there are going to be some cuts, largely to Medicaid. However, those cuts are swamped by the budgetary considerations of extending the 2017 tax cuts. Alright, yeah, see, it's not tax cuts that are the problem. He talks about exempting tips, Social Security income, and things like that I actually think are pretty good. But it would increase spending on a number of conservative priorities like the military and border enforcement. There you go. It's spending, stupid. It's about total spending. That's the real tax burden, no matter what else is going on. So Musk said, I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. But this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone because as much as they were saying, and I was warning y'all about this at the time, conservatives were like, yeah, we're the ones for smaller government, we're the ones for tax cuts, we're going to get spending down, we're going to get it all cut. But it never works out that way, does it? When push comes to shove, the GOP has consistently, though not always, chosen spending increases and tax cuts, even when those proposals will make the budget deficit worse and add to the national debt. I've got a video, Are Republicans Really for Smaller Government? I looked at every single Republican president, and they all left government bigger than it was when they came into office. That's just what Republicans do, and I couldn't find a single exception to that. Not Calvin Coolidge, not Ronald Reagan. And I made that video before Trump's first term, but it's true of Trump's first term as well. Oh man, is it true of Trump's first term. And it's already coming true with his second, so unless there's like a major course reversal or something, it's still going to be the same. Government's still going to get bigger. Because that's what Republicans do. Republicans love big government just as much as Democrats do. As the late great Harry Brown said, Republicans campaign like libertarians, but rule like Democrats. And Trump is a Democrat. He's a 60s Kennedy Democrat. And that never changed. Nothing about that changed. It's now clear that Musk's strongest skill, at least within government, is diagnosing problems that people within the political system might not see or choose to ignore. The underwhelming performance of Doge as a budget-cutting entity has several causes, but Musk was absolutely right when he said federal spending needs to be slashed and the government wastes too much of taxpayer dollars. He's right again to say that the Big Beautiful Bill makes those problems worse. Yeah, he's been doing a really good job of pointing that out, including reposting economists like Milton Friedman. I'm actually kind of proud of it because it was one of my edits of Milton Friedman from Free to Choose that made it around the rounds and eventually got to Elon Musk, and he posted it. I know because it's the exact same way I edited it together and chopped it together, but it's the one where he was talking about how the real taxes on the American people is total spending. And we're always going to have deficits as long as people want government to spend someone else's money on them, but not their money on someone else. And that's just what the whole political conversation's been about. You know, the Democrats are like, tax the rich, tax those person, tax that other people, don't tax us. And what have conservatives been about? Tariffs, tax Mexico, tax China, make them pay for it, even though they won't be paying for it, it'll be you and me, as I've repeatedly pointed out. And so by speaking up, Musk might give some cover to the senators who will decide the bill's fate. At least one of them is already sending the same message as Musk. Yeah, it's Rand Paul, as I already said, he's always an exception. He said, I think the cuts currently in the bill are wimpy and anemic, but I would still support the bill, even with wimpy and anemic cuts, if they weren't going to explode the debt. The problem is, the math doesn't add up, and you just can't get away from the math. The math is unsustainable. As I've pointed out, even if you just look individually at Social Security or Medicare, those are not going to work. You can do whatever you want, make whatever little wimpy cuts you can just to kick the can down the road a little more, raise the FICA tax, cut benefits, whatever. It's ultimately not going to work. And this is just the usual, oh, we'll cut the budget, we promise, and then exploding spending and deficits. But there was something Musk said in the quarter earnings call, because people were asking him about the tariffs, and he was like, well, yeah, I have Trump's ear and I make recommendations, but he doesn't always follow them. And he tried to explain to Trump why tariffs were a bad idea and why they're not really going to be paid by the foreign countries in question. And who knows, you say something to him, maybe you get through to him, maybe you don't, but here's Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, able to influence Trump on a lot of things, but on a lot of other things, just not getting through. And if anything else, that kind of puts the lie to the claim of the Democrats that, oh, Trump's bought and sold by Musk, etc., etc. Well, then why doesn't he listen to him? We'd all be better off if he did. But who really expected anything else? Maybe there'll be some more marginal improvements. I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'd love to be proven wrong. But we'll just have to see. Thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the Comment God, shares for the Share Throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. And of course, donate.bogosity.tv. Keep me doing what I do, especially through these tough times. Those of you who've been following on the Discord know what the last few days have been like for me and why I haven't been able to produce as much. Hopefully that's changing. The weather's getting a little better, but either way, every little bit helps. So thank you so very much to those who have donated and become supporters. Thank you so very much for watching. And until next time, stay strong and be free.